Thank you for joining us as we embark on the journey through the stories of a few of America's bravest heroes. They protect our freedoms and our rights, and are also the very first to provide aid to other countries with people in need. My name is Alyssa Wang, and after my colleague Alex Crocker and I spent some time volunteering with these amazing people, we've learned that each and every veteran has a unique story. Whether they are comfortable or not about sharing some of their traumatic pasts, we thought that it was crucial that we, as America's next generation and citizens, have an obligation to do our best to understand and appreciate our nation's veterans. And what better way to understand people than to listen to their narratives directly? With that said, we are proud to introduce Mr. Julian as our first warrior interviewee.
Where were you living at the time?
I was in Brooklyn, New York. Living in Brooklyn. I enlisted in Manhattan. I was working at the World Trade Center, believe it or not.
Wow. And why did you join?
Honestly, because New York City's a tough place to grow up, and you know, you work hard for things, and then you got to work hard to try and keep them because it's such a rough city. I wanted to get away from that.
Which service branch did you pick?
I picked the Army, but initially I went to enlist in the Marine Corps, but the Marine Corps didn't have any programs for college, real significant college programs, and they didn't offer an enlisted bonus or enlistment bonus.
I see.
So, so I joined the Army.
Great. Do you recall your first days in service?
Absolutely. Never forget it.
What were they like?
Well, day one, got on the bus, rode to the replacement station, and they put us all in bunks. And early that morning, you know, it felt like someone was shining a bright light in my face, and I opened my eyes and realized that someone got up and turned the lights on in the, you know, the big dorm room we were in. So not knowing any better, I got up and I walked over and I turned the lights off and got back into bed. Before I could pull the covers back up over my shoulders, I heard a trash can go, you know, crashing down the hall, and one of the sergeants was like, "Who turned that light off? Get out of bed, it's time to get up." And the sun hadn't even come up yet. So that was the very first day. I'll never forget that.
Yeah. Where exactly did you go in your service?
Oh, I went a number of places. First assignment was Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Then I went to Germany, then came back to Fort Bragg, Germany, Korea, Aberdeen Proving Ground, and then Fort Meade, Fort Belvoir. So I travel around quite a bit.
Wow, you've been all over the world.
Yeah, sure have.
What was your assignment?
I was a chemical officer. Well, chemical enlisted, and then I got out and went to ROTC, but I've been in a chemical corps my entire career.
Tell me about a couple of your most memorable experiences.
I can remember being in Europe, stationed in Germany, and we had a training program with the French Army.
Wow.
And we went out and we trained with the French Army and French Commando School. And the most memorable thing about that was that we did their PT program, right? And so, you know, we get up in the morning, we do PT, no matter what the season, we do push-ups, sit-ups, and we run and do whatever else, right? Well, for their PT, it was wintertime, they did cross-country skiing.
No way.
Yeah, so let me tell you, cross-country skiing looks like a lot of fun. Man, it is so much work.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
It takes a whole lot of core strength, coordination, and a lot of wind to be able to cross-country ski, stay in the ruts, stay on your skis, and pump. It's
they have the Alps, right?
Oh yeah, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
But that was fun. That was a good time training with the French.
That sounds like a really fun time. Were you awarded any medals or citations?
Sure, everybody's awarded medals and citations. Stick around long enough, you'll get something.
Any notable ones?
Yeah, they're all kind of notable, but you know, nothing that I, you know, care to rave about. I mean, I did my job, and you know.
Yeah. Were you injured at all during the?
Yeah. Yep.
Care to explain, or would you rather not?
That's not, you know. I don't really talk about that very much.
All right.
After I served, I retired and I went to work for the Department of Homeland Security. And I basically was a program manager and a research scientist. I helped build biological and chemical detection systems. And that's pretty much what I did in the Army too.
Why did you decide to join SMGA?
Well, someone told me about the program. To be quite honest with you, golf lessons are very expensive, and you know, they said, hey, you can come out, you know, take some lessons with you know, some other vets, and you can bring your spouse, and you know, most importantly, they said it's free. Like I said, golf lessons are expensive.
Oh yeah.
And so it was an opportunity to come out, get some free lessons, and I'm glad I came because you know, I think I would have paid for this. If I knew it was going to be like this, I would have paid for this. This is better than anything I could have imagined.
Great.
You don't hear about it. I heard about this by accident. I played golf with a couple of buddies of mine, and I haven't played a round of golf in probably five or 6 years. And I played around with a friend of mine, and there were I guess two members that were playing golf there. Yeah. And after, you know, we were playing so poorly, they played through us. Two ladies, they played through us.
Goodness.
And at the end of the round, they were sitting in the clubhouse having something to eat, and we stopped and had something to eat. And just so happens they were vets, and they had gone through the program, and they told us about it. And, you know, wow. And obviously it worked for them because they played much better than we did. Like I said, we were slowing them up, and they played right through us. So.
Hey, it's lucky that you found out that way.
Yep. And my wife and I came down for the next class, and man, we're having a blast.
How has SMGA affected you?
I tell you what, man, you know, sitting around talking to some of the other vets, and you know, being able to talk to them about some of my experience and some of my challenges after having been in the military, my you know, my medical issues. You know, being able to talk to them about those things and have somebody that understands what you're going through, and you feeling comfortable just talking to them. I mean, it's a good thing. It's good.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for taking the time with me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Julian, for sharing your past with us. Next, we have Mrs. Love telling her narrative.
Where were you living at the time?
In Texas.
Texas. Why'd you join?
To complete school, to serve my country, to have a better life than what I was seeing at the time.
Which branch of service did you pick?
The Army.
The Army. Do you recall your first days in service?
Absolutely.
It seems that's a common trend.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to forget those first days.
Yeah.
You jump off the bus, or back then, a cattle truck.
Cattle truck?
Yeah.
Wow.
And you jump off of that thing, and there are people with hats yelling at you, get your gear, and then you take a road march to wherever it is that you're going, and the whole way they're yelling at you. So.
The drill sergeants?
Yeah.
Which wars did you serve in?
So I did not serve in theater of any wars, but I served in '90, so that was when the Gulf War first began. So all of my service is Gulf War era service.
Where exactly did you go after training?
So I went to Georgia, I went to Korea, back to Texas.
What was your assignment?
So I'm a combat medic, a medical specialist now. 91, it was 91 Alpha, Bravo now. When I exited the military, it was 91 Whiskey.
Did you ever see combat?
No.
Tell me a couple of your most memorable experiences.
Just taking care of soldiers. Being in the field, I drove a armored vehicle. So it's called a 113 or a 577, which is a tracked vehicle.
All right.
And it was my ambulance. So my most memorable moments were supporting units and taking care of soldiers if they were injured. You know, patching them up in the track and getting them back to the aid station so that they could be further taken care of. So.
Must feel great to help people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Were you awarded any medals?
Yeah. 2 or 3 Army achievements, 3 ARCOMs, 1 Joint Service ARCOM. I think that's it.
Were you ever injured in
The military?
military?
Yeah, I had some injuries. I played basketball in the service, and I sustained a couple of injuries there, just musculoskeletal stuff.
Okay.
And car accidents,
Yeah.
fall off a deuce and a half, just being a tough girl. You know?
Yeah.
So I think for me, I did not enter the service thinking that I would go to war. And it wasn't until basic training, pugil stick training, that I realized what I was actually being trained to do.
Yeah.
And that was to take a life, you know.
Yeah.
And I remember that day like yesterday. It was just like we were going through the drills, and part of the things that you shout when you thrust is kill, kill, kill. And it just hit me like, I mean, and it sounds really odd because you're joining the military, so you know that that's what you do. But I don't know, for some reason, I just did not really, it didn't soak into me how real it was
Yeah.
until that very moment.
What did you go on to do as a career after service?
So I had an interesting transition from service. For a minute, I was kind of lost looking for something to do, and I found a veteran service organization that allowed me to reconnect with the purpose and continue to serve my country by serving other veterans.
Great. When did you start to play golf?
This is our 5th week, so 5 weeks ago.
5 weeks ago. Hey, you're new to this session?
Absolutely.
Great. How did you find SMGA?
Alethea, one of the other veterans that's out here, we live near each other, and we attend Wounded Warrior projects, events, and she told me about it.
Why did you decide to join?
So looking for that camaraderie, to find another sport that I can do now because of my hips and things that have happened to me over the years. No longer able to play basketball. So I'm very competitive and I love sports.
Yeah.
And my doctor recommended a long time ago that I try golf. So
Wow.
so
That's
I said,
great.
okay.
How has SMGA affected you so far?
Positively. I feel more confident about the sport of golf and playing. I'm very competitive, so I initially had doubts. You know, when you look at all of the fairway and the small target, you know, it's kind of intimidating.
Yeah.
So now that I'm learning techniques and actually practicing them, I feel more confident about my ability to play. Thanks for the opportunity, SMGA, and I hope that other women veterans come out and have an opportunity to experience it.
Yep. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Love, for your inspirational story as well as your empowerment of women. Next, we have Mr. Emmett sharing his past.
Where were you living at the time?
A little small town in Oregon called Eagle Point.
Why did you join?
I logged for a year before I joined the Army, and it was really hard work, so I figured I'd join the Army to get out of the Valley. I'm a second generation Special Forces Ranger Battalion guy. My dad was also a Ranger in Special Forces.
Great. Do you recall your first days in service?
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
Seems to be the common answer around here.
Well, I had a Ranger contract too, so it was even rougher.
Did you serve in any wars?
Yeah, I have about 4 years in Afghanistan and probably pretty close to 4 years in Iraq.
Wow.
I've been to Yemen, South Sudan, Niger, any really bad place I've probably been.
What was it like arriving in those places after training?
It was pretty chaotic in Afghanistan early on in the war. We didn't have infrastructure in place. I was in pretty early on, and the infrastructure wasn't there yet. So we built our own fire base. So it was you had to be not only a warfighter, but you had to be kind of a jack of all trades. I was running backhoe one day, doing electrical wiring, doing plumbing. I mean, it's pretty much everything.
My goodness. And your assignment?
Right now, I'm a Special Forces Sergeant Major, and I'm going to a medical retirement right now.
Did you see combat?
Yes.
Tell me about a couple of your most memorable experiences, good or bad.
Like I said, we had to build our own infrastructure, and U.S. Aid was trying to help us, and they would fly people in from the Philippines to help. And I was like, why aren't we teaching Afghans how to run backhoes and do electrical and plumbing? So I started a program where I was teaching Afghans how to do construction stuff. And it pretty much helped the whole area, because on the spare downtime they would help their families and stuff.
Wow, that's
plumbing
amazing.
And electrical and stuff. It was pretty neat.
Yeah. Were you awarded any medals?
Yeah, I have a Bronze Star with V and an Archon with V.
So did you get injured?
In combat, I've been blown up 6 times and shot down in a helicopter once, but I got injured on a motorcycle when I was at the Pentagon. Yeah.
Wow.
That's why I'm here. Yeah. Pretty.
So you got blown up 6 times and shot, and the motorcycle's what got you?
Yes.
Wow.
An 88-year-old man ran me over.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm going through a medical retirement board right now.
Yeah.
So the next 6 to 9 months I'll be retired.
Great.
And then I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I think that's your next question.
Yeah, that was my question. What are you gonna do after?
I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of options, but we'll play it day by day.
When did you start to play golf?
Well, I started playing when I did Best Ranger in 1995. I was never very good at it, and this gives me an opportunity to get better. Jim's amazing. These guys are amazing, and I'm really happy they're doing this, because a lot of stuff I can't do because of limitations medically, and so this is something I can do, and I get to do it with some guys that I'm with every day at Walter Reed. So it's really, and I really appreciate it. And guys, I appreciate this. This is really nice. This is really good for me, the camaraderie. And yeah, I'm learning, but Jim makes it look so easy.
How did you find out about SMGA?
One of my physical therapists said, "Hey, you need to try this," and Lisa Prasso, and I thank her every time I see her, just because this is good for me to get out and do stuff. I just want to thank you guys all. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome, buddy.
We appreciate Mr. Emmett for sharing his eye-opening story. Lastly, I'd like to introduce Mr. John as our last interviewee.
Where were you living at the time?
San Antonio, Texas.
Nice. A lot of people from Texas here.
Oh yeah, well, we're everywhere.
Yeah. Why did you join?
Just because I didn't have, I felt as a high school student, I didn't have too many options. I wasn't, you know, my parents couldn't afford college. I wasn't smart enough to go to college, or at least I thought. And we had talked to me about college. It was either get a good job or go to the military. So I thought that the military would, over the long term, increase my life, you know, make my life a little bit better.
So you picked the Army, right?
Marine Corps.
Oh, Marine Corps.
Yeah. Yeah, they had the nicest uniforms at the time, and they were the toughest. So those 2 things right there, as a young 17-year-old at the time, sold me.
Yeah. Do you recall your first days in service?
Oh my gosh, the earliest days in boot camp, just mass confusion, chaos. I didn't know I was getting yelled at from all sorts of places. But you know, after boot camp and going to school and actually being a Marine, doing my job, it was kind of pre-9/11, so it was very boring. There was not any wars going on, so there was a lot of busy work. That's where you get the stories of raking sand and painting rocks and stuff like that. But that's what we had to do for the beginning of it.
Wow.
Yeah, but then it got, you know, well, and then once 9/11 happened, of course, we started training and everything and gearing up for.
Yeah. Which wars did you serve in?
The Iraq War. I only served in Iraq. I was part of the invasion in 2003.
Wow.
And then went back in 2005.
Wow.
Yeah, 2 completely different experiences altogether. One, I was active duty Marine,
Right.
and then the second time I went as a reservist. So completely couldn't have 2 more radical or different experiences from the first.
So what was it like arriving there?
I just remember the vast plains because there's not much in Kuwait when we got landed there. I mean, you can look out on the top of a ridge and see from miles on it, and there wasn't much there. It really is, you know, kind of a desert-like environment.
Yeah.
After Iraq, you know, you start getting into Baghdad where it was very populated, but you know, it was a bit peaceful. You know, nights you can see the stars.
Wow.
During the day, you know, it was just so expansive, and it was just kind of real, you know, empty, not too much there. So it kind of seemed a bit peaceful, you know, despite all the, you know, stuff that was going on.
Yeah. What was your assignment?
So first tour of duty, I was a satellite communications operator. So essentially I went out there with the main headquarters unit of the Marine invading force, and me and my team set up a huge satellite, and we drew bandwidth, and that bandwidth was turned into phones and computers on the battlefield. So
Wow.
And every 3 days we had to tear it down, go to a new location, set it back up again. So
Hard work.
yeah, and when I went back in 2005, the reserves had changed my job to an intelligence analyst. So at this point I was prepping Marines, infantry to go out into the cities, giving them maps, giving them their briefs, their debriefs, and all sorts of stuff like that.
Did you see combat?
Oh yeah, twice.
Tell me about a couple of your most memorable experiences, good or bad, either one.
You know, sometimes I think one of my most memorable experiences, at least from active duty, in the first invasion, the first time I was in Iraq, was just the invasion, the massive amounts of military equipment and vehicles and planes, and I saw people on dirt bikes. I mean, just a whole massive movement of military machinery heading down major highways into a country. I think that was those images. You know, still ring true to me today of kind of seeing all this, you know, American military might kind of rolling down a major freeway into combat, you know.
Yeah.
You know, bad experience, of course, you know, we you know, there was instances where you saw bodies laying around. You know, sometimes in the military, your best experience can also be your worst experience. You know, your most proud experience. You know, like I have friends who were in firefights and fought their way out of it. You know, so but they lost at the same time. So it could be their, you know, it was some of their proudest experience, but also their worst.
Yeah.
Kind of weird dynamic there.
Must be. So, did you get awarded any medals?
Throughout my military career, so I have the Global War on Terrorism Expeditionary, I have the Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, I have the Iraqi Campaign Medal.
Wow.
I got a Navy Marine Corps Achievement Medal, which is kind of, we call it a good cookie, basically. I did something good, yeah. So I got a Presidential Unit Citation for the invasion of Iraq. President Bush awarded 1st Marine Division that unit, so that's pretty, it kind of holds a special place in my heart as well.
Yeah, it's great.
Combat Action Ribbon as well.
You've gotten a lot. Have you been injured?
I was knocked unconscious from a blast, from a mortar actually. Yeah, it was in the middle of the day. We were all kind of out and about, and I was walking on the 2nd story of an apartment in the barracks that we were, which is old Iraqi kind of troop housing.
Right.
But anyway, the mortar landed right beneath where I was walking up top, so didn't get the shrapnel, but got the full boom concussion out of it. So
yeah.
You know, no visible injuries, thank goodness. You know, I've been able to recuperate, and golf helps with that.
That's great. What did you go on to do after the war?
Immediately went to school. I know that education was part of the reason that I went into the military, so I wanted to take full advantage of those benefits there. I did continue to work. I had a child, I had a house I had to pay for, you know, I had to sustain my family. So I was in San Antonio, and I found, you know, full-time work, not really doing what I wanted, but only sustaining myself while I finished my degree.
When did you start to play golf?
Yeah, I think my first clinic was like in the fall, or this kind of summer-fall clinic in 2016. Every day I'm out here, on any Saturday I could be out here swinging a golf club with golf pros coaching us, and veteran colleagues and friends. I'll do that every Saturday. I get sad when it ends.
Yeah. How'd you learn about SFGA? I
think I was just randomly typing golf lessons somewhere, and then I don't know, somehow I must have put the word veterans in there, and I stumbled onto it, and it wasn't a referral, but somebody finally got back to me. I was emailing. He's like, actually, there's one going on right in your backyard in Olney, Maryland, if you want to go to that one. So I just kind of showed up, and I've made it a point to come ever since.
How do you like it so far? Like, how has it influenced you?
Oh, tremendously. I mean, it's become a part of my life, you know, something that I had never played up until 3 years ago. You know, now I've got outfits and shoes and bags of equipment that I keep in my trunk, and, you know, balls all over the yard and stuff. So it's completely part of my life now. You know, you know, now I find myself going to golf parks, spending a couple of hours just chipping, which I would have never done, you know, never done before and never thought to do before. So I love it. It's something that's meditative to me, energizing to me. You know, it's just been a real blessing to kind of have a support network out here to come, and then, you know, they gave me the equipment I need to continue practicing it. So I just want to thank SMGA, and I hope that this continues. You know, I will continue to be an advocate for it, because I know, like I said, it's sparked a passion in me for the sport of golf to make me continually want to get better and participate and bring more veterans to it. So just want to say thank them for all that they've done and all they continue, you know, hope that they continue to do it, and I will continue to support.
Great, thank you very much.
Absolutely, thank you, sir.
And thanks to you, Mr. John, for inspiring us today with your past and your courage. We know for sure that without these amazing people, our country would not be the same. Because of these interviews in this documentary, Alex and I hope that you have a better understanding of what it's like to be an American warrior, and that you can also empathize better with them. And most importantly, I wanted to say a huge thank you to our veterans for devoting their lives to protect us and our ideals, and having the courage to stand up for our values. Thank you very, very much.